Alright, what's going on, guys? So with the new season of Alliance War starting in less than 24 hours, I figured now is the perfect time to start releasing these type of videos, Alliance War oriented. I've been wanting to make these since I started playing the game, again, really hardcore, and just talk about the Alliance War metagame, and just, I feel like it's really interesting to talk about, first of all, and like a year or two from now, I can look back on my videos and go back to the metagame of early 2019 and see like who we were using back then, and just, I don't know, I feel like it'd be really cool because like if you think about the metagame when I first started playing this game, it was like Black Widow, Scarlet Witch, Thor, Captain America. It's just crazy how much the game has evolved, and it's just cool to kind of keep track, you know, of the metagame, especially in Alliance War, which is one of the most competitive modes in the game right now. But before we get into this video, I just want to say that this list is completely subjective to the path that you're taking in Alliance War. Don't think of this as just like this is the best champion, the second best, third best. Like, it's just my opinions on what I've seen through my alliance mates, through my own personal experience, through the videos I've watched, and it completely depends on the path you're running, and once you've scouted it, who's on that path, who's best to bring. It's completely subjective, so please take that into mind. I'm not saying like this is a definite list, this is the best, this is the worst. So just, okay, I just want to get that out of the way so you guys know what I mean. And yeah, let's just talk about some rankings. So it's going to be a top 5 list today. Technically top 6 because I had the list made, and then a champion kind of just broke into the list with his tentacles. He just broke in. I tried to block, but it was unblockable. And that's Omega Red here. So tied for another champion at number 5 is Omega Red. And when Omega Red first came out, you know, I tested him at the Content Creator Program. I thought he had a lot of promise. I even went for him as a featured 5-star, which I don't do often, and I was kind of let down when I was using him, and I took him to rank 4, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna rank 5 this guy. And then my alliance leader kind of forced me to rank 5 him. I didn't really want to, but he didn't force me to. He convinced me to do it. I was reluctant, but I am so glad that I did. He is just a beast, man. I keep finding more and more utility for him. At first, you know, I thought he had a place in Alliance War for bleed nodes and Korgs, but he can do so much more than that. This guy can take Path 5, he's a beast for countering masochism. He can even do Killmonger on No 29, which is arguably the hardest fight in the Alliance War, or that we ever even had in Alliance War, so pretty crazy that he can do that, and I hope to get some footage of that in this season for you guys. Really hope to fight some Killmongers on Path 5 with Omega Red and get the solo. But yeah, Omega Red, just phenomenal champ, very suicide friendly. He's just a beast, and he just keeps getting more and more utility. He can counter Electro, which could be very useful. I feel like we're going to get more Electros, more that kind of BS maybe with the Thing. I hear the Thing has rock charges kind of like Korg, so maybe Omega will be good for fighting the Thing, who knows. But yeah, he's tied at number 5 with my girl Magic here. Where is she? Don't have her as a 5-star yet, but Magic, man, she is one of the oldest champions in the game, and still she's just one of the best. It's really insane. Like, I've been watching Dubes. He's Dr. Dubes. He's in For Loki, a lot of his war videos. He runs Magic, he runs Path 5, and he just kills it on Path 5 with his Magic. He finishes Killmonger on No 29. I've seen him finish the fight with a full yellow bar. That's 100% health, because she can actually heal from recoil with her limbo. It's insane, man. Magic is such a good champion, and I would put her higher on the list, but I feel like she's not the go-to for every fight. You can certainly bring her to a lot of fights, but she definitely has her uses, and what her uses are, she does extremely well. So yeah, Magic is just a beast. Really, really good champ. It's crazy that she's still so relevant in the metagame this many years into the game, considering how old of a champion she is. And yeah, it's just crazy. So coming in at number 4 on the list, we actually have my boy Void. So Void, man, he is really, really good. And again, his utility, what he does extremely well, and that is reverse healing and reverse power gain. So on any kind of healing nodes, like Buffet, Node 24, if there's a champion on there that can't shrug off debuffs, Void is just going to shred it, because once you get Fear of the Void up, and once those debuffs start working, it's just insane what he does. You just dex once and they lose like a bunch of health. It's so cool to see. And Brian Grant, a guy, again, in 4 Loki, he runs path 6-7. He has a 565 Void, and he just does work with him. For path 6-7, Void is pretty much a go-to for everyone that runs that path. He's definitely one of the most important champs for that path, I'd say. What he does so extremely well. He has such a big health pool, which really helps with taking, first of all, block damage. If you mess up, accidentally get hit, you could probably tank an L3 with Void, just due to his large health pool. It's just insane, man. He's such a bulky champion, with such good utility. So much stuff you can do with him. Just once you get the debuffs going, if you have the ideal mastery setup with resonate and everything, it's just so good. I know Hector, who runs path 6-7 in my alliance, he didn't die all last season running path 6-7. Again, with his Void, man, like Void, he's the MVP for that path for sure. But again, he doesn't quite make it to the top tiers of the list, because I don't really see a lot of Voids on other paths. Again, this list is very path subjective. The next 2 champions on the list, you can see them more for a more wide variety of paths, I'd say. But yeah, for path 6-7, Void is definitely the king. It's just crazy the work that you can see him do, especially on those healing nodes, or when you can reverse power gain. It's spectacular. Really awesome stuff from Void. So coming in at number 3 on the list, number 3 on the list, we have Stark Spidey. Stark Spidey, my favorite champion in the game for sure. I'd love to put him higher on the list, but I can't justify putting him any higher on the list, because what Stark Spidey really lacks is immunities. That's really the only thing at this point in the game that holds this character back, which is really sad, because there's so many champions coming out now that have pseudo immunities, is what I like to call them, and what I've heard Brian call them. And it's basically, for example, Corvus. You can bleed him, you can shock him, but he's immune to them technically when the glaive charges are up, so he doesn't take damage, so you know he's good for those bleed type nodes. Stark Spidey, he's got nothing for immunities, and that's just really, that holds him back. But if we're not talking about immunities, he's one of the best champions in the game, because first of all, he just crits so much, and he doesn't need to build up like persistent charges to get that kind of damage. He doesn't need synergies to get that kind of damage. He doesn't need anything special. All you gotta do is go into the fight and build poise charges. The only bad thing about this before was when you're fighting a Mystic champion, you couldn't really build poise charges because you'd feed Mystic Dispersion with every time you dexed. But the thing is, now that Mystic Dispersion has changed and Dexterity has changed, once you dex, it doesn't refresh the buff, so you can build to 10 poise charges on pretty much every fight. The only fight that it's tricky to do on is Spite. Other than that, once you know how to build the poise charge, it's super easy to build to 10 on most fights. And yes, once you get to 10 poise charges, you're hitting as hard as Corvus, probably harder if he doesn't have a whole bunch of charges that are really boosted. And that's really the great thing about Spidey, is he can just take so many paths, he can hit so hard, it requires minimal setup, and if you do boost with him, he just does that much more damage. If you put the tech boosts on with him, he can cycle specials, and it's crazy, some crazy damage. Also has some shock on his L2, which is nice, and also just one of the best mechanics in the game is his auto evade, which really comes in handy. You know, having the extra hand on the wheel when you're evading a difficult special can just be really nice and reassuring, and it's nice to just have Spidey having your back, you know. Also a stun in the L1, you know, it's nice just to have that stun if you need it sometimes. And Spider-Man, probably the best champ for path 4, which is another middle path, so you know that's fair. And he's also really good alongside with Void on path 6-7. You see most times when you see someone in path 6-7, they always have a Void. Usually they have a Stark Spidey too. Some people don't, but you see Brian has his, and Hector just took his Stark Spidey to rank 5 for that one specific reason as well. So yeah, Spidey, just a beast. Now coming in at number 2 on the list, we have my boy Corvus Glaive. So Corvus Glaive, man, Some of you might be wondering, why is he not at number 1? We'll get to that. The champion at number 1 is pretty dang overpowered, so yeah. But the thing about Corvus is he's expensive. Now, what do I mean by that? You want to be running Suicide Masteries, you want to be max boosting, and you want to be putting on Cosmic Special Boosts. What are those Cosmic Special Boosts? Not in there, but we'll hop into the inventory real quick if you don't know what I'm talking about. They're these boosts right here. These ones boost special attack damage, and these ones give you power based on how much special damage you do. And with Corvus, man, he crits, guaranteed crits. So when you use your special 2, it's guaranteed to crit. And if you're fully boosted, if you've built some charges, you're going to cycle your power. You're going to be able to just cycle L2s. And at that point, if you can use an L2 and get back to an L2 or close to it, pretty much any fight is just easy peasy, lemon squeezy. It's a joke. It's super overpowered. But the thing about Corvus is the way people counter him is they don't put the champions on paths early on that can build him as charges. So Corvus builds persistent charges by completing missions, so people will not place a tech champ, not place a mutant champ, not place an Avenger champion on the difficult paths so that he can't be used. So for example, on path 5, Corvus is really good for no 29 Killmonger when he has charges, but you can only gain charges, you can only get to Killmonger from path 5, so if there's no chance for him to build charges on, that fight is very difficult without any charges. It is possible without any charges, or so I've heard. I haven't seen the video myself. If you're really boosted against suicides. So, you know, Corvus doesn't need the charges, but they really help. At least one really helps. And once his champion is set up, it is quite ridiculous. Corvus set up is probably the best Alliance War attacker, I'd say. Very safe, and just if he's awakened, he cannot die to recoil, to reverberation, to any passive type damage, which is insanely nice. You can get True Strike with him as well if you have the Proxima synergy. And once you get True Strike, you can counter MODOKs, no problem. Any evade champions, Medusas. Really good for killing bosses. I've seen Corvus can kill pretty much any boss. I've even seen him take down champion bosses. So yeah, Corvus set up, probably the best champion in Alliance War. But again, it's difficult to get him fully set up with 4 charges. It's pretty difficult to do. That's why he doesn't quite make number 1. But coming in at number 1, we have Ghost. Number 1 Alliance War attacker in the game is Ghost. And the reason for that being is she is overpowered. Blatantly overpowered. Why is she overpowered? Let me explain to you. So, Ghost, you're going to want to bring full synergies with her. And that's these two right here, the Wasp and the Hood. Once you bring these 2 synergies, when you have the Hood, this synergy right here, it's take no damage while phasing. Now, what this means is there's limitless possibilities with this. L3s. So you can take an L3 as long as you're phasing, you take no damage. Now, let's say the L3 puts a bleed on you. Oh man, that sucks, especially if you're fighting, let's say, a Domino. Oh man, Domino's bleeds hurt, right? Oh, good thing you're Ghost. If you want, the second you phase again, oh, that bleed gets turned into a Fury, you're hitting harder. Amazing synergy, man. You can take L3s. It's just absurd. And once you start playing Ghost and you get you get used to her and her playstyle, it's super easy to phase the L3, to time it. It's super easy to do. And Wasp. Now with Wasp, you can use Ghost without Wasp. I've heard some people argue that you don't need the synergy, and it's true, you don't need it, but it just makes for much smoother gameplay, much more easy to play Ghost, and it's just, you don't even have to think about it, because when you're playing Ghost, the goal is pretty much launch an L2, and once you get to an L2 with the Wasp synergy, all you got to do is swipe back, press the special button, you're guaranteed crits, and those crits crit hard, especially if you're running suicides. Again, you want the ideal mastery setup. If you're boosted really hard, you can use the same thing that you can do with Corvus, you can do with Ghost. You can cycle the special 2s, and actually you only want to use 150% tech boost, because Ghost hits so hard that she gives too much power that you'll get pushed to an L3 if you use a 200% power boost. That's just how hard she hits. Now, why is Ghost so overpowered? Well, let's dive more into her abilities. Once she's awakened, every time you're phasing and someone hits you but they miss, which is super easy to do, to get lots of missed hits, each of those gives you 5% power. So it's very easy to gain power to get those specials. There's also start with special 1 boost in Alliance War, so you can just get to that special 2 even quicker, to start cycling even quicker. It's just very easy to do, and again, if you have suicides on, you're going to be hitting that much harder. You start the fight with 2 debuffs on you, and if your Ghost is awakened, she immediately converts them to passive Furies. So you just hit ridiculously hard right from the start of the fight, not only from suicides, but because the downsides of suicides are being turned into more damage. And on top of all that, Ghost can actually phase through the recoil from suicides because of, once again, the hood synergy. Take no damage while phasing. If you phase right after your special, yeah, recoil, you don't take any damage. So just, there's so many possibilities with Ghost. So those are just, I didn't even get into all of it. She also stacks Cruelty, which makes her crit harder. She can get Furies on her heavies. There's just so much more I could go into about Ghost. She can counter evades when her next hit's a guaranteed crit. And with the Wasp synergy, with the special 2 being unblockable, it cannot be auto-blocked, so like a Medusa, a Modok, just so much that Ghost can do if you bring the right synergies, the right masteries, the right boosts. It is ridiculous. There's only one fight in Alliance War that she cannot take, and that is Gwenpool on the Power Shield node, where your special attacks are the only way to do damage. That's the only fight in the Alliance War map that Ghost cannot do. Any other fight, technically, she can do, if played correctly. Even Killmonger on node 29. So that's why Ghost comes in at number 1, because she can pretty much take any path, and it is just, it's crazy. So yeah, Ghost, man, she's crazy. But again, she's quite the high maintenance champ, which is what I don't like. You need to bring the synergies to play her at that top level. To have her set up at the right level, you know, the mastery, the boosts, and I don't want to bring one champion and just synergies. Like I like bringing like Spidey, Corvus, Omega Red, that sort of thing, you know. Ghost, it's just when you bring Ghost, you're pretty much only using Ghost, and she's the number 1 champ on this list, so you know it makes sense. But yeah, that's the number 1 champ, Ghost. And yeah, hopefully I explained that well. I feel like I talked pretty quick there, but yeah, some honorable mentions for this list. Captain America Infinity War, love this guy. And at rank 5, I think he can do some really good stuff. But I don't know, he doesn't quite make the top of the list. I need to see more gameplay with him. It's just, he's really good for a lot of fights, but what does he really do better than anyone else? You know, it's tough because people say, oh, he can reverse healing and stuff, but yeah, Void does that way better, you know. His special 2 hits really hard, yeah, it does. Ghost hits harder, Corvus hits harder. It's tricky, man. Another honorable mention is OG Vision, extremely good champion, great immunities, great power control. He just doesn't quite make it on the list, but he would probably be at number 6. Or 7 technically, and then also Blade. Another honorable mention here, Blade. He's awesome, but his use has gone down in the past year, pretty much. When he first came out, he was regarded as the best champion in the game. So it's went down. He still has uses though, and when he can get Danger Sense, he can be extremely useful. But even still, like, you can get Danger Sense on node 29 Killmonger, and that is not an easy fight. But yeah, Blade's still just a great champ, but I use mine in AQ a lot now, but the synergy with Dark Spidey is nice. Not a necessity, but it is nice. So yeah, guys, that's going to do it for this top 5 best attackers in the Alliance War meta at 2019, start of 2019. Very long video, holy crap, 18 minutes I've been rambling on, so hope you guys did enjoy. Just to recap, at number 5 we had Magic and Omega Red, at number 4 we had Void, at number 3 we had Stark Spidey, number 2 Corvus, and number 1 the OP girl herself, Ghost. So yeah, that's going to do it for this video, guys. Hope you did enjoy. If you guys want to know who I think the top 5 defenders are in the current meta, let me know, or any other Alliance War type based videos you guys want to see, let me know down in the comments below. Any ideas you have for videos, I'd go ahead, shoot anything. There's no such thing as a stupid idea. I like that saying because I agree. Any video idea you guys want to submit, go ahead. And yeah, thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know who you guys think the best Alliance War champs are. If you disagree with me, if you agree, let me know. Again, just my opinion. Not saying like it has to be this way. You can think whatever you want. It's cool. just what I've observed from the current meta and videos. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoy,